back on 17 with just regrets. And honestly, it's written all on my face. All my apologies come from a selfish place. 'Cause if I think I'll make it up, I'm already late. I know we buried it, but I still feel the shame. And you could say that you moved on, and I should do the same. But he drank on Accutane. I still take the blame.
Hey guys, this is Chauncey from Good Music to Know, and today I'm joined with an artist who serves up honesty with the side of charm. His debut album, Second Dinner, feels like a heartfelt letter to growing up, with lyrics that dig into life lessons, schoolyard memories, and stuff we pretend to move on from. Add a splash of indie folk, some acoustic magic, and a couple of fresh 2005 singles featuring killer collabs, and you've got yourself Slimdan. We are so stoked to have you on the show today, so thanks for joining.
Thank you for saying all those nice things. That's very sweet of you.
Yeah, of course. So jumping into Second Dinner, there definitely feels like there's a blend of like nostalgia and wisdom in Second Dinner. Do you see the album as more of like a letter to your younger self or a mirror for like where you are now?
What I'm learning about myself is that a lot of people I know, you can sort of ask them like, how do you feel about this thing that's happening to you right now? And they're able to get a pretty good gauge on how they feel about it and have perspective. And I've just learned that it takes me a little bit longer to fully wrap my head around experiences. And especially while I'm in an experience, it's like very hard for me to be a bit more objective, or at least like really know how I feel. Oftentimes my initial feeling is like a cover up for the feeling that I'm actually feeling.
Yeah.
So in many ways, it's I would say a letter to my younger self, or at least a commentary on my upbringing, or at least my growing up. And I feel like it just took me a couple of years after it happened to really be able to like have perspective on it, which is why I wrote it when I wrote it. So yeah, that's sort of where I've landed. But it's also like, I feel like I was learning stuff about my current self as well. As it's funny, you look back on experiences, and then once you have perspective, you're like, oh, that's what happened.
Yeah.
And then you start to see patterns within yourself that still exist today. And you're like, oh, that's why I'm like that. And so I would say that's probably where it came from.
Yeah. So you definitely share some pretty vulnerable stories on the album. I'm specifically speaking about Chinchilla's story. What was it like freeing? Was it freeing to get to put that bit out, or was it a bit scary?
Well, I'm not the character in Chinchilla's story. That's not me talking.
Okay.
So the story with Chinchilla's story, this guy named Ryan Linville, who is my co-producer in all Slimdan stuff. He's a phenomenal producer and songwriter. We've been friends for a long time, and we have this friend group. And this is a story that happened to him. And it started because this thing happened with the Chinchilla, and I helped him break up with this girl. And then he just wouldn't shut up about it for like 2 years. Like, it was his favorite story to tell everybody. And it's like a pretty mid story, especially the way he tells it. He's not like particularly good at telling the story, but it became a running bit with my friends where if we were out with him and we were meeting someone new, he would start telling the story. We would secretly record him telling the story and send it to each other. And then finally I was like, wait a second, that's how we should end the album, is Ryan telling the story. And then me and Noah, my other producer, spent like 3 days scoring the whole entire thing. I'm more proud of Ryan for being vulnerable and allowing me to share his story, even though we're like, it's not even laughing at him because he's an extremely intelligent, funny, amazing guy. It's just more so like a love letter to him and why we think he's the best.
Yeah. Okay, so if Second Dinner were a film, what would be the opening scene? And maybe who would play like Slimdan at the age of 17?
What would be I feel like the opening scene would probably have to be the Wiener Schnitzel story, which is when I was 10 or 11, I biked to eat a non-kosher hot dog for the first time by myself. I feel like that's probably a good place to start. And I feel like a super bad Jonah Hill, like that era Jonah Hill, would probably do good for that. I feel like people have been like, you have like a Jonah Hill vibe a little bit. I'm like, okay, I see that.
Very nice. So I know you released 2 new singles, but they are actually collabs. So what actually brought about those partnerships? So I know you had Nosebleeds with Devin again.
Yeah.
And I think you had Undercover Cops, right, with Len and Stella.
Uh-huh.
So how did those partnerships come about?
Basically, we're doing a deluxe album that we're announcing in a week or so. I feel like an opportunity maybe to like reframe the album a little bit and give it a second push and sort of broaden the audience a little bit. I think that the reason I'm doing it is because I was watching this Tyler, the Creator interview one time, and he was just commentating on how quick people are to stop promoting something and feel like they have to do something new. And it really resonated with me because I'm like, why can't I keep promoting something for a year? Like, at least a year I should be talking about it. So it feels like another attempt to get the songs out there. And also it's really just selfishly like forcing my friends and people I like to sing my songs. And they're just nice enough to do it and cool enough to do it. So yeah, it's been really fun, and hearing everybody's perspective and sort of their approach to verses and how it resonates with them and what they come out of it with. It's been really fun. We have Problem Solver coming out with medium builds next week.
What? That's super sick. Nice.
Yeah, and we have some other people lined up that are like just people I fuck with and my friends. So I'm excited to do that.
Yeah, I really love that song.
Thank you.
It definitely was an eye-opener for me because I'm always trying to fix problems versus listening. So I heard that song and I was like, wow, well, that's spot on. Yeah.
Literally same. So yeah, I feel understood.
Would you say there's like a particular lyric or like even song on Second Dinner that you feel maybe is like the core message of the album or carries the core message of the album?
That's a good question. I mean, I feel like what happened was I had been just started putting out music in like 2022, and I was writing songs that were like fine. And then I feel like Problem Solver had this self-awareness that like kind of opened up a portal for me in terms of my writing. So I would say that was certainly the catalyst for the rest of the songs that got written on Second Dinner. But in terms of a specific lyric, there's a line at the end of Wiener Schnitzel that I think is kind of my whole childhood summarized in a line, which is the burden of having free will is that you have to choose well and it's always up to me. It's still so true. And it's still, I think that's what like becoming an adult is realizing that you can do whatever the fuck you want to do. But also like there's a certain power in not doing everything all the time and figuring out what you want to do and being selective and being smart and being cautious of what you're doing, which is like the duality that you're always kind of playing with, or that I feel like I'm always playing with, which is like, I'm not a kid, don't tell me what to do, but also like, let's not fuck this whole thing up and be smart about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that.
Yeah. And then some fun questions. So if you could swap your brain with any musician just for the day to kind of like see how they think, who would you pick?
Whoa. Anybody?
Anybody. They can be dead or alive.
Who would I want to know how they think? It's funny. I feel like a lot of my favorites, like I feel like I've dissected their work so much over the years that like, not that I know how they think, but like I understand the math of like a Paul McCartney song or like a Paul, like not that I would ever come up with that, but I feel like I'm familiar with it. So I would say like there are certain people that are just like freaks to me. I'm like, how did you do that? Like, you know this artist Petey?
No.
He's awesome, but it's sort of like like there's this guy I just worked with named Jake Minch. It's sort of more of my contemporaries that I'm thinking of, and I write a lot for other people. So sometimes I get to write with these people, and it's fascinating. I don't get to be in their brain, but I get to sort of watch them write a song, and I'm like, I couldn't do it more differently. And it's like they're speaking alien.
Yeah.
Also, like Bruno Mars maybe actually would be my number one. He's got like one of the best musical brains of all time, and I'm really in awe of him.
Yeah, he never misses. He really does. I mean, he has so many number one hits.
So many number one hits, and like I think he also is like really good at pacing himself.
Yes.
In how he approaches releasing music, and he really wants to have a holistic like idea of what he's doing, and he's so good at approaching music that way, which is like for me Second Dinner, I just wrote a bunch of songs and my friends bullied me into making it an album and putting it out, and I feel like Bruno Mars is like thinking the whole thing through in this really deep way, which is so different from how I do it. So I'd love to know how he puts together a body of music.
You're like a 10-year plan for music.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so picture this. You walk into a bar and your song starts playing unexpectedly. Like, honest to God, what's your like gut reaction?
Let's fucking go. Let's do this thing. I'm awesome. I'm the coolest guy ever.
Okay. And then, so who do you have on heavy rotation at the moment? Like, are there a few artists that you just find yourself going back to their tracks over and over and over again.
Yeah. I've been listening to a ton of Arcade Fire recently. I think Arcade Fire rocks. I think they're such an interesting band to me. And like, are you familiar with their music at all?
So I went through middle school and college and still listen to them.
How old are you?
I'm 33.
Okay, I'm 29. So we like Funeral hit the same for you as it hit for me. So like, right. So it's like you start off at Funeral and then it's like, okay, indie classic, like Rebellion, Lies, like the whole shebang. But then they fucking come out and then they do Neon Bible. Or is that what the album's called, right? Is it Neon Bible? The second one.
Is that the one for Coco on it? No,
that the Suburbs. That's the one I've been listening to. Then they started doing radio smashes, and I was like, "Whoa!" They really figured out how to like translate that sound into a mainstream thing. And I'm really, not that I'm going for radio success, but
Yeah.
I'm also as a writer and a producer. I'm like, that's such an interesting way to do it and still maintain like your indie roots. So
Yeah.
I've been listening to a ton of Arcade Fire. I think Win Butler and Regina, the singer, I think like some of my favorite songwriters. What else have I been listening to? I feel like, so we speak the same language then. So it's like Venomous by Grizzly Bear is one of my favorite albums.
Yes.
I still go back to that on the regular. I feel like a part of me also, like, we make such different music, but I think John Bellion is such a brilliant musical brain. And I feel like I really am inspired by how committed he is to what he does.
Yeah.
So I'd say those three right now.
Yeah. I can't stop listening to Whitest Boy Alive. I've like officially gone back to like the early
Right?
2000. Yeah. I love that band so much. I've been listening a lot to them, but yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah. And so like what ultimately do you hope people take away when they listen to your music?
I think for a long time, I was like trying really hard in my life in many different facets. I think like I thought, how do I explain it? Maybe like I went to like a vintage store and I was putting on a bunch of different outfits and kind of like doing that and looking in the mirror and being like, and then people being like, no, not that. And I feel like I'm glad I waited to put out music the way I did, because I feel like I landed to where I feel like I am who I am and I'm still growing and I'm still learning. But I hope it's like, it reads as like, I'm just being sincere and trying my best to just be myself.
Yeah.
And that's what I hope people take away from it.
This is like a side note, but I mean, that's my mom listened to your Drunken Accutane song, by the way, and she actually loved it. I was so sorry. She was like, "Oh, I really like this." It's like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Shout outs to your mom. That's so sick.
Nice.
Where
Yeah.
does your mom live in Germany also?
Oh God, no. She's still back home in the States.
Really?
Yeah, she's in North Carolina.
North Carolina. Why are you in Germany?
Good question. No, I moved over for like a creative role. I've lived in Europe for 10 years now. So I was in Amsterdam for 3 years, Ireland for 5 years, and then now Berlin.
Always working in music or?
No, like tech. Nothing exciting. Like
Sick.
commercials, ads, boring stuff.
That's so cool. I mean, I've played Germany before, and I mean, you're not in Berlin, right? You're in like Cologne, you said?
No, I'm in Berlin.
Oh, you're in Berlin. What a cool place.
Yeah.
What a vibe. It's awesome.
Yeah. So like what's next for you? Do you have like any upcoming shows, any tours, you said the Deluxe is coming out?
So we got the Deluxe coming out in May, which I'm excited about, and I'm excited to sort of give these songs another push. I am starting to write for my next project, which has been really fun and exciting. And I don't know if you can hear that. My 8-month-old kid just started screaming because he woke up.
It's okay.
So I'm
Sorry.
I know, literally it's the nanny's here, but I'm doing a lot of fatherhood stuff. I would say that's been a big part of what I'm up to.
Well, congrats. Is this your first kid?
Yeah, it's our first kid.
Yeah, congrats.
Thanks, bud. Yeah, which has been like obviously perspective changing and world shifting. And then, yeah, I think I'll be touring a couple more times this year, probably, if I had to guess. It's looking like it. And hopefully I'll come to Europe, honestly. I loved playing in Europe. And I think it's like funny because they're like I'm a white Jewish kid from the Valley with a very specific like perspective, and watching like a bunch of like Germans or whoever I'm playing to. Like I was in Amsterdam, I remember they're like, "What the fuck is this?"
Really?
But I won them over. Like, don't get me wrong. I got them by the end, but I think it's like, it's fun to like exchange like personalities and get to talk to people after and see like the differences and what we have in common. It's been really fun. So hopefully Europe this summer.
Yeah. Well, if you do come to Europe, definitely stop by Germany. I feel like people would love you here, but yeah.
Yeah. We shall see. Do you go to a lot of shows in Germany?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Really?
Quite a bit. I think my highlight of last year, was it last year? Well, I was seeing Emma and the Sniffers. Wow.
Cool.
The energy she has on stage is intense. But yeah, that was a good show. Really good show.
Is like Parcels still walking around Berlin? You know that group Parcels?
I love Parcels. They're on tour at the moment, I think.
They are?
I'm not sure, but
they live in Berlin though, right?
they do? Well,
I'm like, yeah, they do live in Berlin because my friend Lucy like lives between LA and Berlin, and she's like, well, they're just a bunch of like Australian dudes who are like in Germany having like they're like the sickest band ever.
yeah, I mean, I wish, but no, I haven't. I don't see anything exciting, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I don't. Yeah, so those are the main questions I had for you. I guess like the final question I always like to ask is, are there any last words that you would like to leave like your fans and the listeners with?
Rock it out, man. Rock it out.
Nice. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It was super cool talking to you.
Likewise. Thank you for the thoughtful questions. I really appreciate it.
Maybe I should be someone who listens